Hello and greetings, my tarot friends. I am Diane Cox. Welcome back to my channel, Moon Fire Magic, and I'm carrying on with the Mythic Tarot Major Arcana exploration, and we have got to the very interesting card of the Star. So you can probably guess the myth behind this Star card in this deck. It's Pandora and the box that Zeus gave her, and there she is opening the box, even though she was told not to ever open it because it wasn't for mortal eyes. Okay, so let's look at the myth of Pandora and therefore what the card means. Okay, so I think you probably know a lot about the myth already, but Pandora was a mortal, okay? She was a mortal being, and Zeus asked Hephaestus to basically create a being out of clay, like they did. If you've ever read the Apocrypha of Jesus, it's a very similar story. And so Hephaestus basically made Pandora out of clay, and then each divinity, like the gods and goddesses, bestowed Pandora with like a divine gift. So it would be intelligence, curiosity, beauty, and all kinds of lovely qualities. And so she was mortal, but she had kind of divine qualities. And she was said to have been as beautiful as the immortal goddesses. So she was then basically brought to Earth, and Zeus sent her on her way. There's a few variations on it, but Zeus sent her down to Earth with the box he gave her that was sealed, that she was told never to open, and the gift of curiosity he gave her. Okay. Now, what's very interesting here is there are great parallels to Pandora and Eve. Okay, because obviously Eve, as in Adam and Eve, was curious enough. When there's a tree of life and a tree of knowledge in the garden that you're living in, she was a curious, intelligent being that was like, oh, I'd like to eat of the tree of knowledge. Let's have a munch on some of that fruit of the tree of knowledge, even though she was told not to. And it's quite an interesting parallel because Pandora was told, obviously, not to peek into the box, but the curiosity, and in this deck it's related to the curiosity and basically intuitive nature of the feminine, the natural kind of curiosity, intuitiveness to know what the truth is. I think that's quite funny because women go to great extensive means to find out what the truth might be in various situations. And so yes, I kind of go with that. So because women are quite imaginative, their brains do work over time regarding certain things, and they will go and look for evidence in all kinds of places. So so she basically had this box that she was told never to look in. Eve had the tree she was told never to eat of. People think it's an apple, but when you evidently look in the Bible, it just says fruit from the tree of knowledge. I find it really fascinating that Adam would just be subservient and never, just like, I'm not interested in the tree of knowledge or the tree of life. I'll just walk around and, and look at Eve's boobs and bum and just carry on. So, obviously, Pandora didn't have a partner. She just had this box given to her by Zeus. So what happens is she comes down to Earth and she is sent as a gift to Prometheus's brother, Epimetheus. And so remember from the Hanged Man, Prometheus was the god, it's the Titans versus the Olympians gods. So he was a Titan that breathed life into humans. He made them out of clay and he breathed life into them. Exactly the same story as evidently what Jesus did when he was a young boy playing. He used to make clay figures and birds and breathe life into them, okay? And so Prometheus made humans, made humanity, and the Olympian gods refused to give them the gift of fire. And so Prometheus stole the fire, gave it to the humans so they could, advance in their civilization, and he got punished by the gods, the whole pecking the liver out thing tied to a rock, all that kind of stuff. So Epimetheus was the brother of Prometheus, okay? And Epimetheus means hindsight. So Prometheus must mean foresight, maybe. Epi, inside. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So here's Pandora with her box, and she goes to Epimetheus. He falls in love with her immediately because she's beautiful, and they have quite a nice, happy life together. And the box kind of torments Pandora's mind because she can hear things in it, and basically there's various things that say she hears the box kind of call her name, and she's driven a bit kind of mad with curiosity. And so one day she obviously opens the box, not knowing that spiteful Zeus had filled the box with wickedness and evil that would be released and would travel all around the globe to infect humanity, mankind, with all these horrible kind of, almost like 7 deadly sins, but not quite, similar, but not quite. So she opens the box, and this foul, vile smell comes out, and all this dark energy comes out, and she has basically released wrath and wickedness on the world. In this deck, it basically has a lot of these insects that look like dragonflies and stuff. And quite interestingly, it says about the insects that they're far away from human consciousness. They're completely different to human consciousness because they bite and sting, but these look like nice dragonflies. And also, a lot of humans bite and sting, don't they? So are we that different, really, when we kind of can see various human activities? So basically, Pandora opens the box because of her curiosity. And there she lets the wickedness and evils out into the world. She shuts the box, but she can still hear something inside. She's mortified that she has let this evil and wickedness into the world. And then she can hear something else inside the box. Now, again, there's a few variations. Some stories say that inside the box there was spite, and along with spite there was the most wonderful thing, which this card is very much all about, which was the Star of Hope. Okay, so she goes back to the box. A lot of stories just say when she opened it, all this light and loveliness just radiated and shone beautifully out of the box, and this was the Star of Hope, the star. Okay, and in the background you can see this figure in white, like the angel of hope, the bright being of hope in the background there. And that is what Pandora gets embraced by. She gets just kind of mesmerized by this Star of Hope, and she manages to just kind of look past all the evilness and the wickedness, okay, and she just keeps her eye and her focus and her intuitive gifts on the Star of Hope. So the star is a card of hope, faith and belief. Okay, so she believes in that things will be all right, even though all this pestilence has come out. She believes that, you know, the hope and this almost like overarching energy that comes out, even though all the evil and wickedness, she feels that this star, this radiant hope, completely counterbalances all the darkness that has already escaped from the box. Okay, so this star, and what I really like about this card, I love, you've got that bit of water down here, and then you can see the reflection, you know, the beautiful reflection of the star of hope, right down there in the earth, which is quite interesting. So I just wanted to bring up the Rider-Waite star. And, you know, she's got the big star above her head. And this is about, you know, the water going into water, which is, you know, the reflection of self. There's no reflection here in the water, which suggests that, you know, again, it's the inner stuff, and not to get hypnotized by the outer goings on. Here she is, you know, 1 foot in the water, 1 foot within the journey of self, 1 foot in the journey of Gaia and the earth, and she's feeding both, you know, the earth and herself, and above the you know, the blazing star, also of hope. And it's quite interesting, there's 7 stars around. I always wonder about, you know, the 7 sisters, the Pleiades. Maybe the you know, there was a Pleiadian kind of download at that point, and they didn't even know. I'm sure they did know. And you have these 7 stars. Mind you, there is some, I don't know, you know, that, what's that person's name that did a tarot deck, and they relate the star to loss and disappointment, and then that's got some kind of some story about, you know, a star race leaving the earth, and everyone was sad and abandoned and feeling lonely. What is it? Etela, that French tarot person. Anyway, we're not talking about the French tarot person or the Rider-Waite. We are talking about this beautiful, beautiful image of Pandora. And of course, you can imagine if the card is reversed, then it could be a feeling of loss of hope, loss of faith, finding it difficult to believe in stuff, a kind of a loss of, you know, all that it stands for. But you'd have to look at the surrounding cards for that, and obviously see what the question you're asking is all about. So that is Pandora. The one thing it says in this Mythic tarot deck is about also being mindful of blind faith, that this hope and faith has to come along with a kind of action plan. You know, so whatever this card is referring to, or wherever it is in your reading, there has to be action. There can't just be, oh, this like I say, this blind faith that you know, something's going to happen without you actually getting up off the couch and going out and, you know, being active in this pursuit of a goal. So yes, hope and faith in the middle of difficulties, because obviously she opens this box and all the wickedness comes out. That's quite a difficult situation, isn't it? And then she sees the star of hope, and that wins over her attention. So she just sees this hope, and it's like, oh, okay, everything's going to be okay. So I really do like the parallels between her and Eve. Obviously, it's a completely different story, but it's the curiosity, how women, you know, are curious, do want to seek, you know, get to the bottom of things, and do want to kind of know what's going on. Zeus told her that whatever was in this box wasn't for human eyes, and obviously she is immortal, so she wanted to know why she couldn't see, you know, what the, you know, the gods and goddesses see. And the other thing about this hope card is I mean, I like the way you've got this half, haven't you? You've got the dark pestilence on one half of the card and then the light on the other half of the card. Because the message is also within this card that hope it's almost like it's there, it's a glimmer. It's kind of almost like an oasis in the desert. But the darkness is kind of still there. It hasn't kind of made it go away, because once the pestilence, the evil and the wickedness was released, you're not putting it back in the box, are you? So even though you've got the dark entities and energies around and everything that was released by God, see, I think we've got this God thing a bit wrong, because what God would want to do that to humanity? You know, it's like just to punish Prometheus. And actually, Prometheus told his brother, do not accept any gifts from Zeus. Do not accept. And then this box came in and he said, do not touch it. Prometheus said, do not touch it. And then Prometheus left because he knew that he was going to get, punished for giving fire to humans. And basically he was told that this box he was giving, Epimetheus, was said that Zeus wanted to forgive and forget everything. He wanted to move along, he wanted to move forward, and he wanted to show there was no hard feelings. Can you imagine that? And he was lying all along. He was just lying, and it wasn't a part of the plan at all. He always planned on hoping that giving Pandora the gift of curiosity, he always hoped that she'd open it, because why would he give it to her and say never open it? It's like a ridiculous thing to do, isn't it? Oh, here's this really secret box that's not meant for you, it's meant for the gods, but here you are. You can look after it for a while. It's like So yeah, here, that's the star card. Okay, one of the things about the star card I always think also is shining, being radiant, being like the star of hope, not just looking at the star of hope that's out there. It's your own personal star of hope. Sometimes you are the star. You can be the person that gives hope, that gives faith and belief, and you can be that star. You can be in a situation where, like, okay, I'm just going to shine here, I'm going to do my thing, I'm just going to help and give other people hope and give them faith in life, faith in humanity, that kind of vibe as well. So that is all very pleasant, isn't it, I think? So poor Pandora didn't know, obviously, there was evil and wickedness in the box. She hoped there would be like maybe some sweets and some crisps and a nice bit of cake and some nice crystals maybe. Instead she got like that. So I think that's it. Let me think if there's anything else come to mind about this visual. I don't think so. Nice lush green, you always have to like the I'll mention this. I like the way she's naked, because nakedness often refers to vulnerability, feeling vulnerable, and she was really kind of betrayed by the gods. She was made completely beautiful and intelligent and curious and gifted and musical and all kinds of other things, and she was just set up by the gods, to bring this on the world. So I think, and there she is in her vulnerability, in her nakedness, innocently opening the box, and and then she was the one responsible for infecting mankind, but then she was also responsible for bringing hope, faith and belief in all kinds of situations. So yes, I think that is it. So thank you so much for watching, and we're going on after all those dark cards of the devil and the tower and death. We are now into the starry realms of the star and the moon and the sun, so we've got all that to look forward to soon. So thank you so much for watching and dropping by and expanding your already no doubt brilliant tarot information and wisdom. But it's always good to join forces, isn't it? So thanks so much for watching.